actually have had that space for nearly 20 years. I've been renting that space because I needed a place for my drums originally, and it evolved into a full-blown professional studio. And I record a lot of drum tracks, and I produce and I write and I do all kinds of things on the side when I'm available. So that's what the studio function is. And I've got two amazing partners. Eric Goebel's one of the great engineers who's worked with some of the greatest artists on the planet. And Julian Coryell is guitar player, engineer, producer who currently plays with Alanis Morissette, and he's worked with Leonard Cohen and Amy Mann. And his father was one of the great fusion guitar players, Larry Coryell. So I have this, and we just put all of our gear together. So we have every drum, every guitar, every amp, all the coolest old vintage gear and vintage mics. And we have a vintage console, and yet we do obviously digital recording primarily. And we just have a ball. So whenever there's a situation, and so I don't own the property, we just rent it and we share it. And we just keep a schedule. And if someone writes on the schedule, I'm here from this time to this time, that's it. If something comes up that's important and we need to try to change the scheduling around, we do. And it's been great. We work on a lot of projects together. Like now, Eric, I won't even do a drum track unless Eric engineers it. I used to engineer myself. I think, you know what, the hell with that. He's great, and it's so easy. And so I do a lot of drum tracks for people these days more than anything. I'm not doing as much production or composition because I'm very busy with other things, but I still do a lot of drum tracks. And I do drum tracks. I'll play on people's songs from all over the world. So it might be somebody in Europe, somebody in Australia, somebody in in Arkansas, So somebody will contact me via email because I'm very easy to find, very easy to reach at my, it's mark@markschulman.com or info@markschulman.com. And they say, hey mate, will you play on some tracks? And I say, yes. We work it out. I play on the tracks. I send them back, the recorded drum tracks with variations, like I might play 2 takes of a song, but give them alternate verses and alternate choruses and alternate fills and all the samples. And I love doing it. I love recording. Recording is really fun to me because it's a very quick process for me. And I get the song, I listen to it, I chart it, and I'm done. And I can usually do a pop song in about 45 minutes or an hour.
And you've not heard it before?
What's that?
When you've not heard it before?
Well, I've not heard it before, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually produced a DVD called A Day in the Recording Studio, a DVD for Hudson Music. It talks all about drummers taking the power back and doing it themselves, because the industry has changed. Most of the big studios are gone. It's very expensive to record drum tracks in a big studio because you need to hire an engineer, very expensive room. So I did a DVD back in 2009. Show drummers how, with minimal gear, minimal mics, and an understanding about charting and even approach to playing, how drummers can be self-sufficient and do it themselves.
How do they access that information?
What's that?
How do they access drummers from all over the world?
You can just go to hudsonmusic.com and download my DVD. It's called A Day in the Recording Studio. And I produced it myself, and then I sold it to Hudson. Because I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. It's really funny, and me and my engineer and Eric and I pretend to have a fight, and it shows him drinking in a bar. And and my wife's playing drums in it because it's a fun, entertaining, and I could not fit more information in 2 hours if I tried. So I feel very proud of that as a legacy piece. And I'm working on my second book. My first book is called Conquering Life's Stage Fright: 3 Steps to Top Performance, and that you can get on Amazon. And that is, the name Conquering Life's Stage Fright is a bit of a misnomer because it's really about 3 steps to top performance and how to create confidence in any kind of performance.
Okay.
But Conquering Life's Stage Fright kind of gets everybody's attention. And that's a different triad. I talked about ABC, attitude, behavior, consequence. This is based on the 3 C's: clarity, capability, and confidence. Meaning you need to establish absolute and complete clarity about what you want to do. Once you do that, you need to develop the capability. Get your Gladwell's 10,000 hours, and that's what leads you naturally to confidence. So if you have a clear, extremely crystal clear vision on what you're doing, then you develop the capability to be able to do it. you will have actual confidence. So even, and in I talk about all these different methodologies of overcoming fear and stage fright because it's different for everybody. But the reality is focus on the confidence. Again, if you focus on the fear, if I tell you, don't think of a white elephant, what do?
Think of a white elephant.
So when you say, don't focus on the fear, you're focusing on the fear. So my thing is always focus on the goal. We call a single positive, meaning you're focusing on what is at hand. What is my goal? I'm going to play this drum check. I'm going to perform this show in front of 50,000 people with Pink. Not what's my fear? I'm afraid I'm going to drop my sticks. Well, if I focus on dropping my sticks, guess what? I actually have done that. I've actually thought, man, what if I drop my stick? Bam! The sticks drop. Our minds are really amazing. Our minds really manifest what we tell our minds to focus on. But I believe that there's a consciousness or a soul or a spirit or whatever the hell you want to call it that is senior to the mind.
Yes.
So we tell our minds what to do. We are in charge. There is an observer, a whatever you want to call it, that is above the mind.
And you bring about what you think about. So if you think about something that's not good, that will happen. If you think about good things, they will happen. And
absolutely.
And we
manifest what we put. Where you're T. Harv Eckert, the Millionaire Mind seminar I took years ago, but I loved one of his phrases, where energy goes. What does he say? Where your
energy goes.
I got to remember this. Where energy goes. Results show. I can't even remember now. I'm forgetting. I had it a moment ago. I'll remember it by the time we're done.
Yeah.
But the point is where you put your energy, that's where you see the results.
Yes.
So if you're putting in negative energy or negative goals, you get negative results. You literally create what you fear.
Yes.
So instead of focusing on what you fear, focus on what the true goal is. Because we have acting goals and true goals. Your acting goal might be that you're focusing on something negative. Your true goal is what you really want.
And do you find that most of the people that you associate with would think positively? They wouldn't think about the fear. They would think about the goal that they want to achieve and
well, I'll tell you, Pink is not up there thinking about the fear. If she was up there thinking about the fear, she would die.
Yes, with some of the things that she does. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, think about that. It's all about the goal.
Yeah.
So we are all that way. I mean, you need to get beyond that. And, it's interesting. In part of my book, I talk about speaking as an example, like Tony Hsieh, the CEO for Zappos. He's multi-billionaire. He's a speaker, but he's always really nervous for the first 45 seconds to a minute. So he always has a go-to story that he knows he can tell so well that he can calm his nerves. It takes about a minute to calm his nerves. And after that, he's done the go-to story and then he's okay.
Yeah.
When I used to speak, I used to open up with drumming because I knew that the drumming would release my stress. Now I don't get that nervous. I mean, a little bit of nervousness is great. It makes you more acute. It makes you hypersensitive. It's almost like a hyper awareness. It's adrenaline more than I'm really nervous. But then there's a tipping point where you get overly nervous and then you can't really perform. And so in my book, Conquering Life Stage Fright, I talk about finding that sort of perfect balance, so to speak.
Is there a perfect balance?
Well, there is, because you want to have a little bit of butterflies in the stomach.
Yes.
Because as I said, that actually makes you more focused and more acute and gives you energy and gives you excitement and gives you, it's like an impetus to perform better. Because I'll tell you, there was a point I've toured on and off with this band Foreigner for many, many years. I love Foreigner. When I left the band in 2013 again to go back to Pink, I cried because I love these guys so much.
I have their LP.
I remember at one point we were in the middle of this really long tour and I realized I was going on stage, I wasn't feeling anything anymore and I wasn't performing that great. And so I drew this big old smile on my snare drum to remind myself about the audience. So what I did is rather than going to my drums, I'd run out in front of the audience, I'd look in their eyes, I'd get a little of their excitement, I'd get a little bit nervous, just a little bit of that juju, that I'd go back to the drums and I'd perform better. because I want a little bit of that nuance, that excitement, because the chemistry, except for life-threatening situations, the chemistry for fear and excitement in the body are identical. It's just our perception and our projection that determine our experience. So we're really kind of flip sides of the same coin. You want a little bit of that energy, that nuance, the butterflies, the excitement. It's all kind of rolled into one. So when you get on stage, you're alive and you're present. It actually forces you to be more present, if anything, more right in that moment. It's very exciting.
And
sorry, I got a little excited.
No,
I'm very passionate about this.
I've got an LP or a couple of LPs of Foreigner, and I still have them. What about Sheryl Crowe? You played for Sheryl Crowe and Stevie Nicks.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, it was a Stevie Nicks tour, and Sheryl had produced her record, so Sheryl played half the tour with us. Okay. So we played a bunch of Sheryl Crowe songs when she would be on tour with us. But it was really phenomenal, and Stevie is such a sweetheart, and her fans are so devout, and the band was so badass. I loved playing for Stevie. And me playing for Stevie was studying Mick Fleetwood. Yeah. Because, Fleetwood Mac, Mick was the drummer, and I always heard Mick is Stevie's favorite drummer. So before I went in for the audition, I studied Mick. I studied every nuance, every fill. And when I played the show, I even tuned my drums low and changed my heads. So I felt like I was trying to channel Mick Fleetwood. And the greatest thing that ever happened to me is the end of the tour. We had the end of tour party, and we're hanging out at the Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles. And this big bellowing beast comes over to me, goes, "You, come here." And it was Mick. And he just grabs me without saying anything, puts his arm around me, drags me over to Stevie, and goes, "Stevie, this is the best freaking drummer you've ever had. Never get rid of him." I was like, "Oh, thank you, sir." That's because I had studied the crap out of him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it interesting when he would see the reflection of himself in you when you were playing and have an appreciation for you taking on what...
Maybe that's what it was. I never even thought about it that way. I just think that he got the fact that I'm intense and he's intense. And he plays very hard and I play very hard. And I think that he saw
himself in you.
Similar nuances, not necessarily himself, but he saw enough similarity. And I think he was moved by my passion. I mean, if you attach purpose to every note and every word, I tell my corporate audiences, act like you're a performer, that every single interaction, every word that you say, that you type has purpose. Then you become more passionate. You enjoy it and you perform at a higher level.
It's interesting. There's another one. You played for Beyonce as well?
Well, I know I did I did a live gig with Destiny's Child, and then I played on the Grammys with Tina Turner and Beyonce together.
Oh, wow.
And that was amazing. And we pre-recorded the track, and then we played along with our own track, but it was very exciting because they, two of the greatest artists ever. Yeah. And wow.
And you got to play with both of them.
I got to play with both at the same time.
Wow. And what are they like? What are they like as individuals?
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time with Beyonce. She was actually very quiet. Tina Turner, oh my God. We walked in to meet her and she was working with the dancers. Here's a woman in her mid-70s working with all these kid dancers in their 20s and 30s. She's like, "Come on, let's do it one more time." And they're in this really sweaty dance studio. And everybody's like, and she's like, "Come on, one more time." And we were all like, "Are you serious? This woman in her 70s is kicking all their butts." Yeah. That's Tina Turner.
Yeah. And you can just see her perform. You can just visualize her performing now.
Oh, yeah. And she's like pink. She's so full on. She's so full on. It's just, when you work with these artists and you see how dedicated and absolutely committed and how they are that persona, they are the performance, like I talked about earlier. That's what inspired me to say that I am the drums. Yeah. Or I am the speech.
Now it's time for you to say bye. I'm a bit sad about this, but anyway.
Bye.
No, not yet. How do people find you, and the books that you are writing, the speeches that you do, all those sorts of things? Where can they find all those things?
Well, my website is markschulman.com, MarkSchulman. All of my social media is at MarkyPlanet, MarkyPlanet. That's Twitter, that's Instagram. Facebook, you can find me. And you can email me directly. Or if you email me at info@markschulman.com, at least it goes through my team, but I do get it. So I see all the emails.
Wow.
I like to make myself accessible. I believe part of who I am is to make myself accessible as opposed to make myself inaccessible.
Do you know
I've never been stalked. My life's never been threatened, thank God. So I just, as far as I'm concerned, I'm a love cat. So you want to contact me, it might take me a month to get back to you, but I answer every email. And Conquering Life Stage Fright you can get on Amazon, and the working title of our next book is Hacking Attitude, but that's just the working title. And I interviewed a lot of people.
It's a good title.
We're in the middle of it. So just keep a lookout for it. But just follow me. You can join my mailing list. If you go to my website, you can join my mailing list. You just follow me on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. And you'll see lots of great photos of me and my family and what I do. Drumming. Lots of great pink footage. My buddy Don handles a lot of my social media. He handles Pinky's family, and he does a lot of stuff for me. So there's always a lot of great pink stuff. He finds the most amazing archive stuff, especially because we're off the road in the middle of COVID. So
when will you? Do you know when you'll be back on the road with Pink and coming to
That's
Australia?
the $1 million question. Don't know yet.
All right. Oh, all right. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time.
Oh, thank you, Faye. Wonderful, communication with you and back and forth. So
yeah, thank you so much.
It.
Yeah, and good luck with the rest of what you're doing over COVID, and look forward to seeing you in Australia sometime.
Oh, I can't wait to come back to Australia. I love Australia. I've spent over a year there in my life so far, just
Fantastic.
With Pink.
Beautiful. Well, love to see you back here.
I love Australians, actually. I love Australians. You guys are no BS. Australians are like, you call it as you see it, and I love people that are direct communicators.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I'm kind of like that way myself. So.
Okay. Thank you so much.